Welcome to a deep dive into navigating change and disruption. You sent us a really interesting mix of sources here.
It is, yeah.
Everything from cultivating curiosity to thriving, during a crisis.
Mm,
We've even got some insights on asking powerful questions,
yeah.
and even a YouTube video about businesses making ethical choices when things get tough.
Yeah, it's really it's a fascinating collection, and it all seems to kind of point back to this desire that I think many of us have to not just survive change, but to really thrive in the middle of it.
Okay, yeah. Let's unpack this. So this deep dive is about so much more than just dealing with change. It's about building that resilience and adaptability
Exactly.
that help us grow as individuals and as families.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating to me is how interconnected all of these ideas are, like your personal growth and then those big changes that are happening all around us.
Right, yeah.
We're going to see how those come together.
Absolutely. So let's start with this excerpt from Nine Habits of Curious Minds. It highlights 9 different habits, but 2 really jumped out at me. And I think they connect directly to your goals, seeking liminal spaces, and asking powerful questions.
Those are great choices. I'm particularly drawn to seeking liminal spaces because it speaks to that kind of in-between space
Right.
where so much growth happens. It's kind of like when you're starting a new job, you're excited but also a little unsure.
Right, yeah.
That's a liminal space, that kind
Yeah.
of that gap between the known and the unknown.
And the book argues that instead of rushing through that discomfort, we should actually kind of embrace it.
Yeah.
They even talk about finding joy in not knowing, in the mystery itself.
I love that. It reminds me of the business article that you sent, How to Get Comfortable Being Uncomfortable. It's not about eliminating discomfort, but rather learning to be okay with it,
Hmm.
seeing it as a necessary part of growth. Because think about it. If you're always in your comfort zone, you're never really challenging yourself.
Yeah, that's true. So how do we actually do that? How do we actually become more comfortable with the unknown?
Well, it starts with small steps.
Okay.
Think about your own life. Where do you feel that edge of discomfort?
Hmm.
Maybe it's trying a new hobby, speaking up in a meeting, or having a difficult conversation.
And that's where the asking powerful questions habit comes in, right?
Yeah.
The book suggests that every interaction, even those uncomfortable ones, is a chance to learn.
Exactly. It's not just about getting answers,
Right.
but about deepening your understanding, even your understanding of the discomfort itself.
Yeah, they use a great analogy in the book. They describe the mind as a garden. And when you ask a powerful question, it's like planting a seed. You don't know exactly what will grow, but you're creating the conditions for something new to emerge.
That's beautiful. And sometimes the most powerful questions are the ones that we ask ourselves.
Mhm.
Have you ever noticed how your curiosity can actually keep you feeling young, can help you learn new things, and can even strengthen your relationships?
Oh, it's so true. I feel most alive when I'm learning and exploring new ideas. It's like that spark of curiosity is what keeps us engaged and growing.
Exactly. And that's a key ingredient in navigating change and disruption, right?
Right.
When you're curious, you're more open to new experiences, more willing to experiment, and more likely to find those creative solutions to challenges.
I love that. Curiosity is like a superpower,
Hmm.
and it's something we can cultivate. Even if we don't feel naturally curious,
Hmm.
we can start by simply paying attention to what piques our interest and then just asking questions, lots of questions.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the business article you shared, How to Get Comfortable Being Uncomfortable.
Hmm.
It outlines 6 really practical steps for embracing change, which can feel pretty daunting in a business context, especially with all the rapid shifts happening in the world right now.
Definitely. The author, and he's a successful entrepreneur, he argues that, when faced with disruption, we kind of have 2 choices:
Yeah.
resist and potentially fail, or embrace the change and thrive.
It's that sink or swim mentality, and
Yeah.
and he kind of lays out this roadmap for navigating those turbulent waters.
Okay, so let's dive into those 6 steps. The first one is take the first step, which seems like pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it is. It's about acknowledging that change is happening all around us constantly. We can't control everything, but we can control how we respond to it. And that starts with being aware of those changes and seeing them not as negative events, but as opportunities for growth.
I like that. It's a mindset shift from fear to possibility.
Exactly. And he emphasizes that sometimes just taking that initial step, however small, can really help us move through the fear and into action. It could be as simple as signing up for that online course you've been eyeing, or having that conversation with your boss about a new project.
Right. The second step is be consistent, even if the process sucks, which I appreciate the honesty there. Change is rarely easy, and it's so easy to get discouraged when results don't appear overnight.
Absolutely. Building resilience is about staying focused on your goals and sticking with the process even when it's challenging.
So it's about consistency over time, not necessarily intensity.
Exactly. Think of it like training for a marathon.
Okay.
You don't run 26 miles on the first day, right?
Right.
You build up your endurance gradually with consistent effort over time.
Step 3, forget about your comfort zone. That one might be a bit more challenging for some people.
It is. It is. It's about pushing beyond those self-imposed limitations
Hmm.
and recognizing that growth often happens outside of our comfort zones.
Right.
Think back to those liminal spaces we discussed earlier. Those are the places where we really challenge ourselves and expand our potential.
And as the article points out, you only regret the things you don't do.
That's so true.
I think that's a powerful reminder to take risks and embrace new experiences, even if they feel a little scary.
Absolutely. Now, step 4. Step 4 highlights the importance of teamwork. Leverage the strengths of your team. Now, this is particularly relevant in a business setting, but it really applies to any situation where you're working with others.
Right.
It's about recognizing that everyone has unique strengths and talents,
Right.
and creating an environment where those strengths can flourish, especially during times of change when collaboration and support become even more crucial.
Step 5 is focus on the desired results. This is where we keep our eye on the prize even when things get tough.
Yeah.
It's about maintaining a positive outlook and focusing on what we want to achieve rather than, getting bogged down by the obstacles or the naysayers.
Easier said than done sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, especially when the world feels so chaotic and unpredictable.
It's true, but remember, we can't control everything that happens around us.
Right.
What we can control is our mindset, our focus, and our actions. And by keeping our eyes on the prize, we're more likely to navigate those challenges successfully.
And finally, step 6 is celebrate your progress, no matter how small. This one, I think, often gets overlooked,
It does.
but it's so important for maintaining motivation and momentum.
Absolutely. It's about acknowledging our efforts and celebrating those small wins along the way. It could be as simple as finishing a task, learning a new skill, or even just making it through a tough day. Recognizing our progress, however small, can help us stay positive and motivated even when the going gets tough.
So by following these 6 steps, he's suggesting we can not only become more comfortable with change, but actually use it as a catalyst for growth and innovation.
Exactly. It's a shift from seeing change as a threat to seeing it as an opportunity. And it starts with that willingness to embrace discomfort and step outside our comfort zones.
Now, speaking of navigating challenges, you also send over this questions to ask guide that focuses on the GROW model.
Yeah.
It seemed like a really helpful tool for personal development, but can you explain what the GROW model is?
Sure. It's a really practical framework for problem solving and achieving goals. It stands for goal, reality, options, and will.
Okay, that makes sense. And the G goal seems like a natural starting point.
It is. It is. The first step is to get clear on your goal. What are you trying to achieve? What challenge are you facing? And it's important to define your goal in a way that's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Sometimes it's called a SMART goal.
Okay, so instead of just saying, I want to be happier, you might say, I want to start a gratitude journal and write in it for 5 minutes every morning for the next month.
That's a great example. Once you have a clear goal, you move on to R, which is reality.
Okay.
This is where you take stock of your current situation.
Hmm.
Where are you now in relation to your goal? What are your strengths and weaknesses? What resources do you have available?
And the guide really emphasizes the importance of being honest with yourself during this step.
It is, yeah.
It's about
Yeah.
acknowledging your feelings toward the challenge and identifying any obstacles that might be standing in your way.
Right.
It-
And those obstacles could be external factors like a lack of resources, or internal factors like self-doubt or fear of failure.
Right.
The key is to identify them so you can address them effectively.
I can see how this would apply to so many different situations. Whether you're like trying to overcome a personal challenge, make a career change, or even like navigate a relationship issue, this step really helps you kind of ground yourself in reality.
It does, yeah. Once
Yeah.
you've assessed your reality, you move on to O, which is options. This is where you brainstorm potential solutions and strategies.
Mm.
The key here is to be creative and consider different approaches.
Like opening up your mind to all the possibilities,
Yeah.
even the ones that might seem unconventional or outlandish at first.
Exactly. And the guide even suggests involving others in this brainstorming process.
Oh, interesting.
Sometimes getting an outside perspective can spark new ideas and solutions that you might not have considered on your own.
I love that. It's about like harnessing the collective wisdom and creativity of your network.
Exactly.
The last step is W, will.
Right.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly. It's about making a commitment to action. So you've identified your goal, assessed your reality, and explored your options. Now it's time to choose the option that you're most motivated to try
Right.
and set a deadline for completion.
And the guide also talks about visualizing success, which I find really helpful. It's about imagining yourself achieving your goal and tapping into those positive emotions that come with it.
It is, yeah. And it's also about anticipating potential challenges. What might get in your way?
Right.
How will you overcome those obstacles? Thinking about these things in advance can help you stay on track when things get tough.
So the GRW model provides this structured framework for like taking control of the situation
Yeah.
and moving towards your goals even when things feel uncertain or overwhelming.
Exactly. And it can be applied to such a wide range of challenges, from personal growth to professional development to navigating major life transitions.
Now, you also shared this really thought-provoking YouTube video. It's about ethics in action. It focused on businesses facing these ethical dilemmas during conflicts. And I was struck by the diverse viewpoints that were presented.
It is a complex issue, especially in today's world. The video highlights this growing pressure on businesses to take a stand on social and political issues.
Right.
But there's also a risk associated with both action and inaction, right? There can be real consequences either way.
The video used Shell's involvement in the Niger Delta as an example.
Yeah.
And it sparked a lot of controversy, even legal battles. It raised this question of what responsibilities do corporations have to the communities they operate in, particularly in regions facing conflict?
Yeah, that's a question without a simple answer. The video explored a range of perspectives on how businesses should navigate these situations, recognizing that there are often complex trade-offs and difficult choices to be made.
Right.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Another example that surprised me was the controversy surrounding Lego minifigures.
I know, right? It
Yeah.
was this whole debate
Yeah.
about whether certain minifigures, particularly those depicting armed conflict or historical figures with controversial legacies, were appropriate for children.
It made me think about the role of toys in shaping children's understanding of the world. Like, do toys have a responsibility to promote peace and understanding, or should they reflect the complexities of history, even the difficult parts?
It's a fascinating question and one that parents and toy makers are grappling with. It speaks to this broader issue of cultural sensitivity and considering different perspectives when developing products or engaging in business practices.
Right. The video also talked about Nike's response to social justice issues,
Yeah.
particularly their stance against bigotry and inequality. They
Yeah.
they leveraged their platform to speak out,
Mm.
even knowing it might alienate some customers.
That's a risky move, but it also reflects this growing expectation that businesses align their actions with their values.
Right.
Many consumers, especially younger generations, want to support companies that are actively working to make a positive impact.
It's not enough to just like talk the talk anymore.
Right.
Companies need to walk the walk. But as we saw with the other examples, it can be challenging to navigate these complex social and political issues.
Absolutely. And the video really argued that businesses have a responsibility to be ethical actors in the world, which extends beyond just avoiding harm.
Right.
It's about actively contributing to positive change, whether that's supporting local communities, promoting sustainability, or advocating for social justice.
Okay, let's move on to that PDF that you sent. Thrive in a Crisis.
Yeah.
It is packed with practical tips for individuals and families facing challenging times.
Yeah.
And it seems to like tie in perfectly with everything we've been discussing.
It does. It emphasizes building resilience, adaptability, and having a strong support network, which are all, essential for navigating any crisis, whether personal or global.
So let's start with the individual tips. The first one is cultivate an opportunity mindset.
Yes. So instead of viewing a crisis as purely negative, it's about looking for potential opportunities for growth and positive change, asking yourself, what can I learn from this experience? Or how can I use this to grow?
So it's about turning a challenge into a chance to learn and evolve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The second tip is practice self-acceptance.
Okay.
It's about being kind to yourself, acknowledging your strengths and weaknesses and focusing on being your authentic self,
Right.
especially during tough times.
Self-acceptance, like it allows you to show up as your true self, flaws and all. You can be incredibly liberating, especially when we're facing a crisis.
It can, yeah. Tip number 3 is face your fears.
Okay.
It's about confronting those things that are holding you back, whether it's fear of failure, fear of change, or something else entirely.
Fear can be so paralyzing.
Yeah.
But the PDF, it argues that facing those fears can actually help us unlock our full potential
hmm
and open up new possibilities.
It can, yeah. The fourth tip is develop a mindfulness practice. It's about finding ways to manage stress and maintain mental clarity, whether it's through meditation, deep breathing exercises, or spending time in nature.
Mindfulness practices can be incredibly grounding, especially during those turbulent times.
Yeah.
They can help us like stay present, calm our minds, and connect with our inner strength.
They can. And finally, tip number 5 for individuals is build a support network.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the importance of human connection and surrounding yourself with trusted individuals who can offer support, encouragement, and a listening ear.
We're not meant to go through life alone, especially not during difficult times. Having a strong support network can make all the difference in the world.
It can. Now let's move on to the tips for families facing a crisis. The first one is establish open communication,
Okay.
which seems crucial for any family, but especially during times of stress and uncertainty.
Yeah, communication is so important in families, but it can be hard to talk about like difficult things, especially when everyone's feeling overwhelmed.
It can. The PDF suggests setting aside dedicated time for family meetings or check-ins where everyone has a chance to share what's going on for them.
Right.
It's also about being mindful of our communication style and creating an environment where everyone feels heard and respected.
Tip number 2 for families is develop a family crisis plan,
Yeah.
which might sound a bit daunting, but having a plan in place can really help like reduce stress and anxiety when the unexpected happens.
It can, because when you're in the middle of a crisis, it's hard to think clearly. Having a plan helps you stay calm and focused even when things feel chaotic.
So it's about like being prepared, not paranoid.
Exactly.
It could be as simple as like having a list of emergency contacts, knowing where important documents are, or having a designated meeting place in case of like evacuation.
Exactly. The third tip is foster resilience.
Okay.
This is about encouraging problem-solving skills and adaptability in all family members. It's about teaching kids how to cope with challenges, bounce back from setbacks, and find creative solutions to problems.
Resilience is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Exactly. And building resilience in families can help everyone navigate those difficult times with more grace and ease.
Tip number 4 is maintain routines, which seems especially important for kids.
Absolutely. Routines provide a sense of normalcy and stability, which can be incredibly comforting during times of crisis. They help create a sense of predictability and security, which can reduce anxiety and stress.
And finally, tip number 5 for families is practice gratitude. This one might seem like counterintuitive during a crisis, but I think it's incredibly powerful.
It is. It's about shifting your focus from what's wrong to what's right, which can have a profound impact on your overall well-being.
It's about like finding those glimmers of hope and joy, even in the midst of difficulty.
Exactly. The PDF suggests implementing a family gratitude practice, maybe sharing what you're grateful for at dinner time, or keeping a gratitude journal together.
I love that. Even during challenging times, there's always something to be grateful for.
Mm.
And focusing on those things can help us stay positive, hopeful, and connected as a family.
Right. It's about recognizing that even in the midst of a crisis, life is still happening, and there are still good things to appreciate.
This has been a whirlwind tour
It has.
through some really insightful material. It feels like we've covered so much ground, from cultivating curiosity to navigating those ethical dilemmas to building resilience in the face of crisis.
It's been fascinating to see how all of these ideas connect. We've talked about curiosity, adaptability, ethical decision making, the importance of human connection, and so much more.
And these themes are all like interconnected.
They are.
They work together to create a framework for not just surviving change, but thriving in the midst of it.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual growth.
Right.
It's about creating a more resilient and compassionate world,
Mm-hmm.
starting with ourselves and extending outward to our families, our communities, and beyond.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed by change or unsure how to navigate the challenges ahead, remember you're not alone.
You're not.
We all have the capacity to grow, adapt, and thrive.
Absolutely. And remember that curiosity is your superpower.
Yeah.
It's the key that unlocks new possibilities and helps you navigate the unknown with courage and grace.
Before we wrap up this part of the deep dive, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier
Okay.
about the importance of authenticity. It seems like that's a recurring theme throughout all of these sources.
It is. Authenticity is essential for navigating change, building trust, and making a positive impact in the world. It's about being true to yourself, your values, and your purpose.
And it's about aligning your actions with your words.
Yes.
People can sense when you're not being genuine.
Yeah.
Especially today when transparency is so important.
Right. It's about showing up as your true self, even when it's uncomfortable or risky.
Mm-hmm.
That authenticity can be incredibly powerful.
It's about like leading with your heart
Yeah.
and letting your values guide your choices, even in the face of difficult decisions.
And it's about recognizing that each of us has a unique contribution to make to the world.
Well said. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll continue exploring these themes
Sounds good.
and dive deeper into the specific challenges that you're facing.
Now I'm looking forward to it.
Welcome back. Before we move on, I wanted to circle back to that YouTube video about ethical business practices.
Mm-hmm.
There was one example we didn't get to discuss. The Crisis Management Initiative, or CMI.
Oh yeah, CMI. That's a really fascinating example of an organization working kind of behind the scenes
Yeah.
to promote peace. They specialize in mediation and dialogue, bringing opposing groups together in conflict zones.
The video mentioned they've been involved in some really high-profile peace processes, but it didn't really go into much detail. What's their approach?
Well, they really focus on building trust
Okay.
and facilitating communication between parties who might otherwise never sit down together.
Right.
And it's delicate work.
Yeah.
Requires a deep understanding of the nuances of the conflict and the perspectives of everyone involved.
It sounds incredibly challenging.
It is.
But just getting those parties to like talk to each other
Yeah.
feels like a huge step towards finding, peaceful solutions.
Exactly. They've worked in places like Ukraine, Yemen, Somalia,
Wow.
places where finding common ground seems almost impossible. It's inspiring to see an organization that's so dedicated to peace
Yeah.
in the most challenging contexts imaginable.
Definitely like gives you hope that even the most intractable conflicts can be, addressed through dialogue and understanding.
Yeah.
Speaking of challenging contexts, we've talked a lot about like general principles for navigating change, but what about when things really hit the fan?
Yeah.
What about those moments of crisis
Right.
when it feels like everything's falling apart?
Right. Those are the times when everything we've discussed becomes truly essential. The resilience, the adaptability, a strong support network.
Right.
That's when those things can mean the difference between, falling apart and bouncing back. Remember that PDF, Thrive in a Crisis?
Yeah.
It had some really valuable tips
Yeah.
for those moments.
One that really resonated with me was the idea of maintaining routines.
Yeah.
Even amidst chaos. It sounds so simple, but I could see how having that structure could be incredibly grounding during those times of uncertainty.
Yeah, especially for children, routines can be like a lifeline. They provide predictability and security,
Right.
which can really help reduce anxiety when everything else feels out of control.
Right. It's not about being like rigid,
Yeah.
but about having some familiar anchors in your day.
Exactly.
Could be something as simple as like sticking to meal times or bedtimes or having,
Wow.
a regular family game night.
Yeah. Another tip from the PDF that I found really helpful was practicing gratitude,
Okay.
even during a crisis.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it might seem kind of counterintuitive, but focusing on what you're grateful for can actually shift your perspective and
Yeah.
help you find those glimmers of hope,
Right.
even when things feel dark.
I've heard that gratitude can be such a powerful antidote to like fear and despair.
Mm.
It reminds us that even in the midst of hardship, there are still things to appreciate. And it doesn't have to be anything major. Maybe it's a warm bed or a cup of coffee
Yeah.
or a supportive friend.
Right.
Those small things can make such a big difference.
They can. The PDF also emphasized the importance of open communication
Okay.
for both individuals and families. When you're going through a crisis, having people you can talk to,
Yeah.
people who will listen without judgment,
Yeah.
can be incredibly cathartic.
Absolutely. Like bottling things up only makes them worse.
Mhm.
Having that safe space to express your feelings and concerns can really help you process what you're going through.
It can, and it's not just about talking; it's about truly listening to others,
Yeah.
and trying to understand their perspective.
Right.
Empathy and compassion are so crucial
Yeah.
during times of crisis, both for ourselves and for the people around us.
Speaking of support, the PDF also talked about the importance of building that strong support network.
Right, because we're not meant to go through those difficult times alone.
Yeah.
Having people that we can rely on for practical and emotional support
Right.
can make all the difference.
And that support can come from all sorts of places. It could be family, friends, romantic partners, mentors, colleagues, therapists, even online communities.
Hmm.
The key is finding people that you trust
Yeah,
and who make you feel safe and supported.
right. The PDF also had specific tips for families facing a crisis.
Okay.
One that stood out to me was the importance of developing a family crisis plan.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Having that plan in place can really reduce that stress and anxiety when something unexpected happens.
Mhm.
It's not about being paranoid,
No.
but about being prepared.
Exactly, because when you're in the middle of a crisis, it's hard to think clearly.
Right.
Having that predetermined plan can help you stay calm and focused even when things feel chaotic.
It's like having a roadmap
Yeah.
for navigating difficult terrain.
Yeah.
It doesn't guarantee a smooth journey, but it helps you stay on track and avoid getting lost.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as simple as having a list of emergency contacts, knowing where important documents are, or agreeing on a meeting place if you get separated.
Exactly. Another tip from the PDF that I found really helpful was this focus on fostering resilience, especially in children.
Yeah, resilience is so important.
It is.
It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Yeah.
And teaching kids how to cope with challenges, bounce back from setbacks, and find those creative solutions to problems
Mhm.
is such a valuable gift.
It is. It's about helping them develop that growth mindset
Right.
where they see challenges as opportunities for learning rather than as threats.
I love that. It's about empowering them
Mm-hmm.
to believe in their own abilities and see themselves as capable problem solvers.
Yeah.
And it starts with us, right? Modeling those behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
approaching challenges with a positive attitude and a willingness to learn and grow.
Absolutely. We can't expect our kids to be resilient if we're not showing them how it's done.
This whole deep dive has been about navigating change and disruption.
Mm.
But one thing that remains constant and probably always will
Yeah.
is the power of human connection.
It's so true. In the face of uncertainty and upheaval, our connections with others are what sustain us.
Right.
They give us strength, hope, and a sense of belonging.
And those connections can take so many forms. It
Yeah.
could be, family, friends, romantic partners, mentors, colleagues, even strangers
Mm.
who offer a helping hand or a kind word.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together, right?
We're all part of this larger web of interconnectedness,
Hmm.
and our actions have a ripple effect
Yeah.
on those around us.
And when we focus on fostering those connections, on building those bridges of understanding and compassion, we create a more resilient and hopeful world.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's our relationships with each other
Right.
that truly matter.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to revisit something we touched on earlier.
Okay?
Authenticity. It seems like that's a key theme running through all these sources.
It is.
Being true to yourself, your values, and your purpose.
And that authenticity is essential for navigating change, building trust, and making a positive impact in the world.
Mm.
It's about aligning your actions with your words,
Mm-hmm.
showing up as your true self,
Right.
even when it's uncomfortable or risky.
Right.
That authenticity can be incredibly powerful.
It's about like leading with your heart.
And letting your values guide your choices, even in the face of difficult decisions.
And recognizing that each of us has something unique and valuable to
Yeah.
contribute to the world.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey. We've explored so much, from the power of curiosity to the importance of adaptability, from the complexities of ethical decision-making to the profound impact
Yeah.
of human connection.
And through it all, we've seen that even in the face of uncertainty and disruption, we all have the capacity,
Yeah.
not just to survive, but to thrive.
It's about embracing change,
Mm-hmm.
cultivating that resilience,
Yeah.
and nurturing those relationships that bring us strength and support.
And never forgetting that curiosity is a superpower
Yeah.
that helps us navigate the unknown
Right.
with courage and grace.
Now, as we get ready to wrap up, let's move into that final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll take all these incredible insights and connect them directly to your unique situation
Yeah.
and the specific challenges you're facing. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive,
Okay.
from cultivating curiosity to building resilience. And now let's bring it all home and see how these ideas can help you navigate the specific challenges that you're facing.
Yeah, thinking back to all the sources that you shared, what's standing out to you as particularly relevant to your situation right now?
You know, it feels like everything's kind of connected. The idea of seeking liminal spaces from 9 Habits of Curious Minds really, really resonated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a career transition right now, and it definitely feels like I'm in that in-between space. A bit uncertain, but also excited about what's next.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of a liminal space. It's that threshold where you're leaving behind the familiar and stepping into the unknown. And as we talked about earlier, instead of fearing that discomfort, you can actually learn to embrace it as a catalyst for growth.
Yeah, and the business article's advice on getting comfortable being uncomfortable also seems really relevant.
Mm.
Knowing that change is a process, and it's okay to feel a bit uneasy along the way,
Yeah.
is really reassuring.
It is, yeah. It's about shifting your perspective. Instead of viewing discomfort as a sign that you're doing something wrong, see it as a signal that you're stretching yourself and growing.
And the grow model from that questions to ask guide
Mm-hmm.
feels like such a practical tool that I can use right now.
Yeah.
You know, I can use it to clarify my goals for this career transition, assess my current reality, brainstorm options,
Mm.
and create like an action plan.
Yeah, it's a fantastic framework for navigating any kind of change.
Yeah.
It empowers you to take ownership of the process and create a path forward, even when things feel uncertain.
And even those tips from Thrive in a Crisis feel relevant, even though I wouldn't necessarily call this a crisis.
Yeah.
You know, maintaining routines and practicing gratitude, those seem like grounding practices that could help me stay focused and positive.
Absolutely. Those practices are valuable in any situation, but especially during times of change. They provide a sense of stability and help you, focus on what's truly important.
Yeah. Looking back at the examples of businesses grappling with those ethical dilemmas, it makes me think about the values I want to prioritize in my own career.
Yeah.
I want to work for an organization that aligns with my beliefs and that's making a positive impact on the world.
That's a powerful realization.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that your career is not just about making a living, but also about making a difference.
And the example of CMI working to mediate conflict and promote peace, that was truly inspiring.
It is.
It's a reminder that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, there are people and organizations working tirelessly to make the world a better place.
And it highlights the power of dialogue and understanding. Even when perspectives seem diametrically opposed, there's always the possibility of finding common ground and building those bridges of connection.
This deep dive has given me so much to think about and more importantly, so much to act on.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, as you move forward, stay curious.
Yes.
Embrace the unknown. Ask those powerful questions and trust that you have the resilience and the adaptability to navigate whatever challenges come your way.
Thank you so much for guiding me through this incredible material. I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for navigating change and creating a future that aligns with my values.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you. And remember, you have everything you need within you to thrive,
Yeah.
not just survive
Yeah.
in this ever-changing world.
That's a great reminder. And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and given you some valuable tools for navigating your own journey. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a fascinating topic.